What's up guys, it's Joseph and this is my SCT 19 frame. You can see I've done some pretty heavy modding and so I just wanted to document the rest of that. So I'm just going to let you guys cheat and see the finished product before the rest of the video. Came out really good, feels really good in a two-hand grip. The grip actually tapers down and I didn't plan for that, but it feels perfect since, you know, your pinkies are shorter than your other fingers. So there's plenty of room for my support hand in there. It doesn't feel blocky anymore. And then let's go ahead and compare it to the dagger that I recontoured in an older video. So you know I took off the hump. This feels really good too. And then here's a stock dagger that still has that annoying hump back there. Like, sub, and share. And then I'll talk to you guys next time. To give you an update on the Precision Defense slide, I sent that back to Primary Arms. Before I sent it back, the customer service said they would take a look at it and see what could be done. They ended up just offering me either a refund or store credit, so I just went with the refund. So this frame doesn't have a slide for right now. As you can see, I added a Beavertail using this Gorilla Epoxy Stick. That was pretty straightforward. I just roughed it up with some 180 grit sandpaper, and this stuff is really easy to work with. It's a long setting time, so you can mold it, take your time, and then just cut it. So you can see I cut it, you know, flat, so obviously it doesn't run into the slide. I'm gonna try more Gorilla Epoxy Stick, and then if I run out of that, I'm gonna use some JB Weld steel stick. So my inspiration for this is that I always wanted to try the Lone Wolf Timberwolf frame. Now what they have is the Dusk 19, which is another super skinny grip. So I'm trying to change this to be like a similar grip profile as that one. So the first thing I did to this is take a hacksaw and cut lengthwise and then cut into it to get most of it off. And then I used a carbide burr in a dremel. The SCT frame is pretty chunky and feels very blocky in hand. So I'm trying to add more of a bevel. So on this left side you can see I put about a 4mm bevel along there. That cuts through the T on the SCT. On this other side I haven't done that yet, so that's just square. You can see there's a lot of material to work with, so I'm gonna make the bevel on this side. Alright, I got the bevel on the right side now. Did most of it with the Dremel and then did the rest with a utility knife. One other aspect is that there is a hole right in here that leads you to the trigger housing. So what I did is take the trigger housing out. I put a little square piece of plastic to cover that up, and that way when I pack in the putty, it doesn't go up into the trigger housing area. This has been roughened up with some 180 grit sandpaper and then cleaned with a cotton patch and alcohol. I have a utility knife to cut off the little piece of the epoxy after you knead it. It's really sticky on your gloves, so I'm going to change out my gloves. I want to manipulate it with a couple tools, so I'm not sure what to dip the tools in to get it to not stick to the tool. So I have out some water, some alcohol, some jelly, and then I found out this AR tool is really gonna match the contour that I want to give the back of this, so I might be using this to press in the epoxy to form it correctly. Here's the Gorilla stick. I'm gonna start off with a tiny piece. So you want to put this back in the tube so it doesn't dry out. So obviously you just mix it up until it's a uniform color. Take little chunks of this. And pack it into these corners, these deep corners. Have a little condensing tool. So the point of packing into these corners is so when I place a big wad right here, there's not so much pressure through the center where that hole is. More of the pressure is on the sides. So between the water and the alcohol, it's a lot better to dip your tool in the alcohol, and the putty doesn't stick to the tool at that point. It definitely looks like there's enough of the Gorilla stick, so probably about 2/3 of this to fill in the back of that grip. So I'm not going to use the JB Weld, maybe about here, just to be safe. Alright, put this back in the tube. So my technique has become to just double up on my thumbs to press it, wrap it around and press it into the center, as you see here. Definitely looks like enough. Yeah, like I said, I'm going to change out my gloves. Lots of paper towels. Let me get a new blade. Before it fully hardened, I made sure to check the bottom of the trigger housing area, make sure that's clean so that the trigger housing can sit correctly. So I started out with way too much and messing with all that. It didn't let me do such a great job over here in this little area over here, so I just like cut out that chunk because it was looking pretty bad. So I'm gonna just mix up some more and add onto it. So after you smush it into a spot, like say here, see how it sticks onto my gloves? But then if you like dip your finger in some alcohol, you can smush it in there without it sticking to your glove anymore. Alright, any comments or questions, leave those down below. Like, sub, and share, and then I'll talk to you guys next time. Here it is with a standard 17 round magazine. If it still feels just as good at the range, I might hit it with some acrylic black paint and see how it holds up.